How's it going, everyone? We are back. Got the Red Bull background to denote the green candles that we saw recently. Right before I went to bed last night, I saw that there was some green candles, and I promptly tweeted about someone buying PulseChain, and that happened. That was the thing. So anyways, welcome back to the show. Today, we have Neil on here. We're talking about a lot of really fun stuff, a lot of nuance that you don't quite get from other places. So I like having Neil on the show. We really get into some interesting topics. So talk about that. Richard tweeted in, very interesting tweet. We'll talk about that as well. And then I'll get to chat in just a minute. We got a lot to cover, probably go for about an hour or so. And yeah, hope you're strapped in. This should be a fun one. Without further ado, welcome back to the show. Neil for T-Shares. How's it going?
Pretty good, Max. Pretty good. Thanks for having me, and glad to be here.
Things you do in your spare time. Would that be crypto, sir?
Well, now crypto's my main thing, but my spare time is probably farming. But yeah, it's crypto's almost taking over my life just about. So it's okay.
Every time somebody says farming, I think of Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr. I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker. Like that one. And then we still need that meme. We need that meme of where I'm a yield farmer. You know that one.
Right.
That'd be a good one. Maybe I'll make that. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, it's never. I guess you haven't been on a couple weeks, and you know that everything has changed because the whole Hex, right? Like the whole investment thesis has just went out the window. We're like trying to figure out where what actually money is. We're trying to redefine what these things mean and all that stuff. So how you been the last couple of weeks? You hanging in there?
Oh yeah. Well, I had a vacation last week, so I was kind of away from the crypto scene, at least as much as you can be with
how
technology.
dare you?
Right. Of course, when I'm gone, everything happens. So I'm like, great.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was okay though.
So you're super wrecked then. You didn't emergency instake everything to get out ASAP, it sounds like.
Look, what's the point? I mean, I got long stakes. I don't care. That's why I staked it. I figured, in a couple of years, we'll see what happens. You never know. Maybe we have sharding by then and gas goes down. I mean,
it almost makes
I had
too
a
much
long-term view. Yeah. I had a long-term view of all my Hex stakes. I didn't really I wasn't trying to get rich quick. Because I look at it as a true certificate of deposit and long-term yield strategy. I wasn't trying to make money overnight with it. So I just think that people try to play the short-term game. They're going to always get burned on things designed for long-term. That's just the nature of it, right? I mean, there's plays to make, but if you want to trade, go ahead and trade. I mean, that's your choice. But traders, as Richard says, tend to get wrecked. So
yep. Founders, holders, and exchanges. That was the original message from Richard. The people who make it in crypto get rich in crypto. Mm-hmm. Traders. I mean, there's plenty of good traders out there, and traders have been making. I mean, that's been the. There's anything that sucked. Not that traders don't deserve to be rewarding and that stuff. I'm just saying in general. The people who were through all this stuff, if people onboard to eHex and it didn't work out or went down or got a deeper discount they're expecting, bags didn't go up recently, but who knows in the future. But the point being, the people who have profited through the ups and downs always will for the last couple of years have been traders and people who, may not have a lot of longevity in the ecosystem, may not care about as much as the values and stuff like that. And, everyone else's bags, at least on that side. Again, if you got, I'm not gonna have this conversation like 10 times like I've already did, but a lot of people got rewarded. There's a lot of people looking long term. Not everyone who I want everyone who buys Hex to get rewarded. That's the thing that's kind of like, crap, that's may not have happened with this outcome or whatever. But again, the jury's still out. We got plenty of time. Maybe it's just a deeper discount. Maybe everything works out. Maybe people make so much money on the other 4 coins that are amazing that it doesn't even matter anyways. There's a lot of bright side to it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, look, Richard's not stupid. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's doing calculated moves on purpose. Now, we may not like them. It may hurt in the short term. Especially people who just bought a bunch of eHex. I understand they're probably a little disgruntled, but what he's brought to the ecosystem with PulseChain and the other 4 coins, I mean, he's bringing value in different ways. Of course, value is now being split 4 ways, so it depends on which of the 4 coins you're going to choose to invest in, or all 4, or just 2, or whatever. That's your choice. You have to make that decision, and where do you want to rest in. But at the end of the day, according to Richard's past behaviors, he's going to buy the stuff he likes and he's made, and so. Those are the ones I think I would put my money on, and I have, and I'm still, maintaining the majority of my portfolio in those 4 coins because they make the most sense.
Yeah, and I think that's what people struggle with a lot too. Is just, you trust the man or you trust the product. I don't think it matters as much. I don't think it's I think for, of course, RHMax for his ideals, a lot of his products, stuff like that. I believe they're, greatest ecosystem on earth. And, I want to promote a lot of the things he believes. I think it'd be good for the world if a lot of the ideals that he has proliferate, and he mints millionaires to go out and do all this cool stuff. So for me, I think I kind of look at it like Elon Musk. I like Elon Musk too. Plenty of people like him, and they probably, whatever he does, they'll buy or they'll invest in or they'll do because either they think, hey, first of all, he's a billionaire, so hey, maybe he probably knows something about money, so maybe they'll make money from it, speculation wise, or they don't have to even agree with his values to see these different things. They may do both, but they don't have to do both. So I don't know. The whole thing, I definitely want. I prefer. I guess one side of it is okay. Mega whales, founders, whatever, buying coins, bringing people in the ecosystem because of that. Like, is that maybe the people come in don't share the same values and don't have as much want to participate in trustless yield. Maybe they just come in just to make money, and that's fine. I hope everyone that comes in here, the ecosystem, that's a good actor, is able to make mad gains. And the other part is like, okay, that, but then is it weakening the value? Is it weakening the culture? Is it weakening the ability to not be a degen, for example? Again, everyone can be whatever they want, but is the culture more focused on these like sound, healthy principles versus, hey, this guy's going to buy my bag, I got to come in for that? I don't know. I don't think you can control it, and I don't think that I think transparency is always the first option that comes to my mind for a lot of this stuff.
Well, I think we got to think about crypto and how people play the game and use it. We tend to be have an either or mentality. Either you're a trader and you're doing high risk plays and try to get in and dump on people's heads, or you're just like a DeFi guy. But maybe it could be both. Both and instead of either or. There's times and places to trade, and when we have the Tetra automation tools, we'll be able to do it in an automated way, and they can have some trades set up automatically. They'll also be able to use the DeFi tools that are on protocols on the chain to slowly build yield over time. I mean, where else can you get 50 to 100% APR anywhere on your money? I mean, PulseChain's it. I mean, you go to Aave, you go to Curve, it's only 13 to 20%. That's all you're getting. I mean, Richard's only getting 8 in MakerDAO. I mean, come on. He could take all that money and put it in his own farms and make more money than Inc. if he wanted to, as far as APR is concerned. But I know that's not the play right as of now with what the system is. But like, we're in a good position. I mean, in the bear market or beginning of the bull, however you want to define where we are right now, we're doing good. If you're sitting in these type of things on this kind of yield, then you get these other protocols. You get lending product platforms, and you got other type of swaps and DEXs and stuff that you can earn yield. I mean, you get the Curve 4 with the PH ecosystem, all those tools. So yield's out there to get. It's just a matter of, are you patient enough to wait for it? That's what it boils down to. People aren't patient. They want to get paid now. They're tired of waiting. They've waited 2 years plus. Now they want to see some gains, and it's still not enough for them. They're looking for their 102,000 X's or whatever they're looking for. But the reality is, it's just not here yet. And I think Richard's got the right play in mind, and he's not going to do anything to jeopardize his legacy or his baby he's made. There's no way. He will do the right thing. He's going to make it work.
Yeah. I think that's obvious to me over, seeing all the stuff he's talked about and, following his work for a while now, and just looking at the community and what it's built to do and the way the products are designed. Right. And it's always, I was thinking about too, like, what if Vitalik, people had some wallet they were watching, and Vitalik had like a, 100 billion DAI or something in it. Like, what is Vitalik going to do with money? What's he going to do with money? That sort of thing. That sounds bullish for ETH. In a way, or bullish for something that he believes in, that he's talked about, that he likes to do, that he wants to support. Like, that sounds pretty, like, I think I'm grateful to be in an ecosystem where there are mega whales, regardless of who or where they are or how much money they have, that want to, show an interest to be good actors and buy stuff in the ecosystem and help us like turn. We have the trustless DeFi part, and like the code and community takes care of that on its own. Hey, it's nice to have some extra money come in, and I think that's pretty cool. So Vitalik, Elon tweets, "Hey, I'm going to buy a bunch of Tesla stock." Wow, that sounds bullish for Tesla, for example, too. Paul asked, "Are we in a cult?" Sure, I've answered this question a couple times, but I'm glad you bring it up because I've written an entire blog on this. If anyone cares to read, but Neil, maybe let's start the question: are we in a cult, sir? It doesn't matter.
Yes, we are. There's just no doubt about it. If you understand what cult means to cultivate, right? I know it has a negative connotation in modern,
Like where this is
modern
going.
parlance. Let's see, but the word cultivate is to grow and to develop. So here's where we are. And we're a community of people who are growing and developing together. That's how I look at it, as whether it's just Hex or PulseChain, whatever, right? But you can be part of the cult, Hex cult, and not necessarily a maxi either. I don't consider myself a Hex maxi. I've diversified in a bunch of different products. I look at the value and the yield I can get, not just any one thing. Though I appreciate what Hex is by itself, and what it does and structures yield, and I use it for its purpose. But it has a purpose. If I want short-term gains, I want some be more liquid, then I'm gonna have to go in something else. So that's how I look at people talk about cult and the concept of the community and stuff.
But isn't it more important? Don't you need to know? Would you know if you were in a cult, Neil? All these questions are just like, what do you, I don't know. I don't know how to answer half of them.
It's just kind of silly, but it's no different than people who are Tesla. You just said Elon Musk maxis and love Tesla and everything he's doing, and SpaceX and all the things, or if whether you're Richard Branson and his Virgin Empire or whatever, or if you follow, what's his name, Steve Jobs and Apple, like all the people who are Apple maxis, nothing but Apple products, right? It's no difference. Yeah. And those are the people who generate the value for those companies because they're buying the products. What's the difference?
I think of it. I also do the analogy of addiction. It's like, okay, what is addiction? Like you're doing something, you can't stop doing something that's bad for you. Essentially, that's like the definition of addiction in at least the negative context. Like you could say addicted in like fun ways too. So the cult thing is like, am I doing something that's bad for me? Like all the evidence suggests, historically speaking, and the data in front of me suggests that I'm loyal to a brand that has rewarded many people before and is built to reward many people in the future. So I don't know what the cult or addiction or otherwise has to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those things. It's not even half worth entertaining. So, but if you are entertained, feel free to go to the blog and check that out. Neil, Richard tweeted recently. He does that from time to time. Gold made an all-time high, S&P all-time high, Bitcoin all-time high. Ethereum hasn't made a new all-time high yet. Also, debasement comment down here for 150 years. Posted some charts. What do you think he's trying to tell us here? That
there's still room for, in fiat terms, the value to go up, and for Ethereum, right, and probably for Bitcoin too. As well as S&P and everything else. I mean, we're still overcoming the COVID money printing thing that happened. So there's so much more currency out there in the market. So our currency is being devalued tremendously. I mean, but the numbers he posted, like for instance, Bitcoin at 73K, it's really, if you think about it, for dollar buying power, you'd have Bitcoin have to be 100K today to have the same buying power it did a couple of years ago. So though it's up in fiat terms, it's really not where it needs to be in buying power like it was a couple of years ago. Same with Ethereum, the S&P 500, all the things. We all know that. We just go to the grocery store. Everything's up 30, 40, 50%. Depends on what you're buying. So inflation has just destroyed our buying power of our dollar. And that's where we are in reality. So Richard sees this. He knows this. And he's talked about this over and over again in the past about how fiat currency is bad. And we see that as it plays out in the markets. And so as these guys and these bigger players in the world and these governments and institutional money comes in and moving money around, they want more and more of the fiat because it takes more of it to buy the yachts and things they want, and as well as votes and everything else, right? So that's just where we're at in reality. So I think it's moving to grow in fiat terms for all these assets. It's just going to take, when the market is ready to deploy the capital and when they're ready to turn the money pairs back on.
Yeah, I think that it's almost every time a tweet like this happens, you look back a few days or a week or so later, and like, wow, that was so obvious, like what was either going to happen or what made sense in the market or otherwise. And I don't think Richard would risk his social capital, like his reputation, hashtag Richard Hart was right. He wants to be right as many times as possible, right? Is literal capital, if you believe that direction as well. Why would he risk it all on something that in the short term doesn't make a lot of sense at face value of, oh, hey, look, the ETH trade is down right now, like that kind of thing. I'm just thinking, like, what is, at what time frame, at what time horizon? Like, why would billionaire genius founder guy, if he were the one to make a move like that, why would it turn out badly? Why would it sounds unreasonable, right? So like, why is buying ETH, at 3,600 or 3,800, whatever, at that time, and then dipping some, what is he looking forward to? And also, if he thinks, the SEC stuff, I think he also made a tweet about the SEC, ETH, FUD, all that too. I'll bring up here in a second. If he has that much confidence in the ETF, how much confidence does he have in his own case that his Chad lawyers are going to nail that one as well? Like, doesn't that strike you as just this confident judgment call right now?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, he was silent up until what, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, right? Hardly any just minor basic communication. Now he's all over Twitter. He knows what's up. He knows, he's like, all right, the worst is behind me. It's time to now get to work. I got all this other stuff out of my way, and now he's getting after it. And he knows that an ETH ETF would push the price of ETH up, tremendously. But you got to remember, he had to get in when he got in, because when he gets out, he can't just dump it all at one lick. I mean, he'll destroy the price against himself, right? He's not going to do that. And so he's got to position himself to extract that value as he sees, if he's going to extract it, and then move it somewhere else and die or whatever. He may put it in Maker DAO, or whatever his plan is, or go straight to PulseChain with it. Who knows? It's kind of hard to know the exact play there. That's only he knows what he's going to do with it. But there's a value there that he can use, and he will use for his own stuff. And just a matter of when and how he's going to deploy that capital. That's something we just won't know. We just have to just wait and see. But I've noticed he's due now for another pump based upon the chart. If you look at the chart trend's been, that's based on the PulseX pairs, look at the ratios. I think we're due for another pump here pretty shortly.
I do like pumps. Pumps are nice. Anyone in general, like thought experiment here. $1 billion comes into the PulseChain ecosystem. Where could it go if the whale wanted to make prices appreciate with the core assets? Let's say, for example, on PulseChain, how could $1 billion of whatever ETH or DAI or anything, how could that affect? Where could it go to positively affect price? Like, what do you think the plays would be if such a thing happened? Maybe ETH hits 8K, 10K, 11K, or whatever. Everyone who made trades in ETH benefited from it. They want to bring some money in. Where could it go that would make the most sense?
I mean, he would probably do some of the same things he did before. Obviously, buy his own tokens. Possibly, he bridges the ETH directly over and pairs it with Pulse. And you have a heavy, thick liquidity with ETH Pulse pair if you wanted that. If that's his goal, maybe not. I don't know. But he may want a little more decorrelation there and keep them separate. That may be his play. Maybe he goes to Maker DAO and deposit as assets to back the DAI he has, right? Because that's part of their process there. I mean, if he continues the same trend he's been doing, he will be pushing the prices up by buying the assets, which is more than likely the best play. And as he does that, and buys them up, people will obviously dump to get their profits at whatever margin they wish to receive them in. And those who are long-term minded will be the ones making out, because they'll be riding the price all the way up. And then if they choose to sell, they can sell it, at the higher points. That's their choice.
Yeah, I was looking at the ETH and ecosystem too, and the pairing. That's what he had the decorrelated tweet. So how do we reconcile this? So he goes on. I think we talked about it with you and other people as well before. It says decorrelated ? With Ethereum on, we assume referring to the PulseChain ecosystem. I think there was like price charts of that at the time. And then, so decorrelated, but then, major ETH buys by such, perhaps related whales. And then now it's like, okay, if the play would be to bridge and pair Pulse and ETH together, wouldn't that only make sense in a case where you expect ETH to continue to go up? And how do you think about that now? I mean,
if he's trying to correlate them, have more correlation, then yes. But I would say that if it was Richard's in his past movements, I would say that what he would do is when ETH hits 8, 10K, whatever he expects the all-time high to be, he swaps for DAI and then brings it over. Because right now, if you look at this chart you got pulled up, it's a roughly just a little over half of the value of ethers versus DAI. Well, if ETH goes to 10K, that's equivalent 1-to-1 in dollar terms right now on chain. So now they're both equally valued, right, in the ratios. So, but if he wants decorrelation, it'd be better served just to dump the ETH for DAI and come back and then buy up his tokens with DAI. Therefore, we have more decorrelation. The PulseChain will move in its own accord. If that's his ultimate goal, which it seems to be that's the trend. If not, he'd have probably brought more ETH over, but he hasn't. He's chosen DAI and using tools like MakerDAO and stuff to earn interest. That's just basically free money. He can bridge in at any time and use for different capital expenditures as well. Because it costs money to run the chain too. It's not cheap. Money's gonna come from somewhere.
Yeah, I just want to cover this. The LP advanced theory class you did here too. What did you take from this? What was your take from just reading this, talking about again? You double the DAI, price goes up 4x. Is there plays there with DAI that could happen?
Well, it's just ratio trading. I mean, I did whole videos on this stuff. It's just understanding ratios and how they work and how V2 liquidity works. I mean, just if you're looking at when you trade looking at US dollar terms, you're missing out on the better values. I have friends and Tatis online. I'm talking about you, Phil, if he's listening about this. I say he's a USD guy. He looks at dollar terms, but I look at ratios because I'm not trying to get out right now. I'm trying to accumulate assets and increase positions. You can't do that looking at USD value. You got to look at ratios. And Richard's exactly right. I mean, this is how it works. I mean, this is nothing new. It's just the mathematical facts of V2 liquidity and how the prices move when you move up one side or the other. So as he buys up some stuff, it pushes the price of the other thing up. It's just the way it happens. And this is why we can, rest assured that having like him using DAI versus ETH is a better way because you get better price action. Because if you use ETH in Pulse, what happens when ETH price goes down? And then the reverse it happens. So it's not as good of a play. That's why it's better to always to bring DAI in, not ETH. But you can have some ETH, but it shouldn't be the main pair.
That's what makes the most sense too. It sounds like is, if the trade, get the price appreciation with ETH, convert it to DAI, and then bridge the DAI over, as some cadence or otherwise. And I mean, is it just market? I mean, do you think is there $1 billion if you would split that up into, I don't know, 10 million market buys per day over whatever time period, however much that comes out? Like what is the way to do it to have a sustainable green candles? Is that the bootstrap that's like, okay, everyone, like, you see what's happening right now? Do you want to buy the same because you can see the buy pressure every day going up? Like what is the way to do that?
I think that is it. Now the amount will be a function of, all right, so Richard also wants the non-believers to exit soon. So maybe, and he's done it twice now, people pretty much sold everything back. We're almost back down to the pre-pump levels. Not quite, but we're getting up there. I mean, getting down to that point. I mean, we have some green candles and stuff here and there, but I think Richard wants the people who are not believers to go and get out. Give them one, maybe give them a 2X and let them get out. And the rest of us, we can say, hey, look, we see the X is coming in. And he starts doing these larger market buys, pushing the price up and pushing the price up. But every time he does it, though, he makes it harder and harder for the average guy to get more and more of the asset. So if you only have a couple of grand and he pushes the price, you have a lot less asset now you can buy. That's just the name of the game. And he's warned us and given us, several months to buy and accumulate. We had a big dip. You could have accumulated a lot at the bottom. I mean, well below SAC price in both Pulse and PulseX. So we have plenty of time to accumulate. And so it's on us if we don't accumulate or did not accumulate. And now we're above SAC rate on Pulse. We need to keep doing it. If you're not DCAing in, you're going to miss out because when he blows the top of this thing off, it's really going to like explode, and people are just going to be playing catch up and chasing green candles because the FOMO will hit. And that's how you get the retail over.
Wow. Yeah, just imagine those 100 days. I did the math. I just want to double check, put it on the screen. 100 days. If we had $1 billion, 100 days of $10 million buys on the, like, just imagine, like, if I believe he does want to blow this ecosystem up, like in a sense of like show everyone you cannot afford to not participate in this. Like you need to come to PulseChain if you want to make money. And it turns out most people in crypto want to make money. Like that kind of event, why wouldn't that happen? Like, I mean, not that maybe this not particular one, but like just in general, why wouldn't there be some big event to happen to bring again everyone in to get the adoption, to show them this is the biggest FOMO event in history, right? Like if anything like this, if any kind of big event like this happens,
what if he instead of doing it? What if he instead of doing say 100 days of 10 million each? What if he started off with say 1 million, then 1.2 million, then 1.3 million a day, and slowly ramped up the percentage of green candle growth as you go up? So because he's buying against himself, obviously, because he pushes the price up. So by the time you get to the higher prices, then you could extend out, say 150 to 200, maybe 300 days. What if he does it for a year of green candles? I mean,
green candles.
I mean, it's unreal, right? But he could. He has enough money to do so. And he was hopefully exhaust the people who are the sellers, right? Who once they hit their 10x are out or 20x are out or whatever, the price point is, where the big holders who have a lot who are wanting to sell, they're exhausted, and the small guy, he can take advantage and change his life.
It's pretty amazing. I think I just want to note this while we're in the discussion that you can have both trustless yield and be excited about mega whales buying coins. Like I think you can have both. I think the only people, again, I talked about this, when we first started the stream around the whole idea that, okay, maybe it attract people who don't share the same values as the community, stuff like that. I think that's totally valid. But the people who've been here a long time, who've been waiting, who already are in for these values, who aren't going to turn to, degeneracy or screw themselves or whatever. I think those people getting rewarded with this kind of thing, that seems like, if you were wanting to reward people for doing, the right thing, in quote unquote, whatever that means to you, but like whatever that means to Richard, for example, wouldn't that be the way to do it? Is like, okay, obviously we got the great product. Let's get the green candles going. And then, hey, here's some buy pressure to make people, you cannot look away from this ecosystem.
Right. I mean, and then he's got like PulseX as a buy and burn. So now he's got a feature with this one of his tokens that gets bought and burnt. So what do you think is going to happen to that token, over time? It's going to have its own scarcity and its own, metrics that will run a little different than Pulse. And incentive token, it's bonded but together heavily with the two other tokens. So it's always going to be pulled up, regardless if people dump it or not. It's going to keep being pulled up because it gets bought up, also. So it's like, it's one of those things that it's almost, if you were smart, if you didn't need all the cash at once, and most people don't, if you just farmed the incentive token and never sold your assets, you'd be well off with what Richard's doing. I mean, that'd be the smart play. Why sell your assets when you can just, take the yield token that he's provided you, he's buying himself, and just exit out that way and keep your native assets, let them grow. I mean, that'd be the smart play, I would think, because I think, if I'm mistaken, the incentive token is going to have a remission reduction here shortly too. So these are just things to consider.
Is that the simplest thing to do? It's like if you have PulseX, for example, one of the simplest strategies is to literally just sit in the farms again, do your research, assume the risk, pick the right farms that work for you, all that stuff. But to sit in the farms, earn the incentive token. If you believe incentive token is going to go up because it's leverage and go down because it's leverage, all that stuff. And it's basically it is the instead of incentive token, it is the liquidity token in that way. Like you just like, okay, I'm just gonna sell that and let the other assets appreciate over time because I know this thing's still gonna go up, or you believe so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Well, the incentive token has some interesting factor about it. If you look at the contract address, it's identical to PulseX, except that it doesn't have the buy and burn turn on. And every other way, it's the exact same ERC20 or PRC20. What if he turned it on one day?
Just turn the buy and burn on incentive token. We'd have to launch is it programmable? Like, is it a right to the company?
I'm not sure. It's just almost a carbon copy of PulseX.
People are looking for utility, and you may give them too much hope on that one. Somebody asked me yesterday, does incentive token need a utility? I'm like, no, I don't think it does. I think it's going to go. I think speculation is all it needs, but if it had utility,
well, I mean, it has speculation, but it also has Richard buying it on top of it. So he's like, I'm buying the thing I like.
Right.
You know, it's his least favorite. He still buys it. So it's like, well, he's pushing the price. So, I mean, why is he doing that? You know, he's trying to reward people. And because the liquidity is so thick, it gets 3 pumps every time he buys. And people don't realize it gets pulled up by the other 2 pairs plus when he buys it. So he gets 3 pulls. That's why it moves faster than the others in price appreciation, because of the bond liquidity. In that tweet, he talks about it, in the bond liquidity. So, I mean, it's not very complicated, but people just forget that how all these things work mathematically. So, I think he even talks about Hart's law in there. I think he mentions it. So, yeah, it's a.
I was just thinking about the PulseX too. So, if that much money came into the ecosystem, and we had that that many transactions and people coming in, and it's just this compounding effect. Buy and burn is almost at 4% right now for the entire PulseX supply. What does that go to if we have a year of buys? I mean, and everyone else funneling in 50%.
Well, it'd be a chunk. It'd be I don't know what the math would work out to be, because it's also a function of as price goes up, though, you get less and less per burn, right? Because you get fewer tokens. But so wherever the math, I'm sure it's a graph. You could probably do I'm backwards here, but you'll figure out the math on it. It'll come to whatever plateau would be, maybe significant buy and burn. But another thing we remember, though, if Richard jumps $1 billion over time, it makes the gas costs go up too, because we're Ethereum fork. Price goes up, gas goes up in dollar terms. So you're paying more.
Are you telling me that people can't end their end stakes? They're going to be able to end their hex stakes again, Neil?
No, they'll end it.
Look at that crazy bull run.
$500 may cost you $5 or whatever. The point is,
fees go to
the end stake fees, or just to gas,
or the fees on the network.
It goes to validators.
Whew, validators.
Mm-hmm.
I like those guys.
Yeah, they'll be the ones making bank. At that point in time. I mean, and plus, once you add automation to the system, they're going to have even more transaction volume very shortly. So, and when we launch our Stratus and Atlas, I mean, people don't realize how much volume it's going to put in PulseX and Pulse and all the validators. Their volume is going to increase by a certain percentage. And more adoption we get, the more that happens. That means how fast the buy and burn is going to go, even faster. So many transactions are going to be routed through PulseX, right? Tons of them. I mean, because it's got the thickest liquidity, so we get most of the transactions going through it just because of its liquidity. So if you're trading ink and stuff around, you're more than likely to go through PulseX with a lot of your trades. So whatever strategy you're trying to come up with, you're gonna really push the PulseX buy and burn just by you're using the system, as well as giving the validators more funds by increasing that number of transactions. So everybody's going to win when all this is said and done.
Guys, I know you're not feeling like you're rewarded that much these days, or maybe you do. Maybe you just keep the constant, unshakable winning attitude, like I try to optimize towards. But we get some volume on this chain. I think a lot of the people doing things that in a healthy ecosystem should get rewarded. I don't know. I think it's unreasonable. We keep going with that. It's unreasonable they wouldn't get rewarded. Like, it's pretty good. Davis feels rewarded. What's up, Davis? Good to hear. But there's someone who doesn't feel rewarded, or perhaps, and it's usually a different one. And each time we're gonna answer Kirby before we move on. Kirby, a long time viewer of the show, brings up interesting topics from time to time, but a lot of them tend to lean negative. PulseChain was actually the worst thing to happen to Hex. All it did was take value away from Hex, and the market cap got diluted to other coins. It is why Hex is down 98% after all this time and only bleeds versus PulseChain. And to make it worse, PulseChain or PulseX buy and burn actually sells down the Hex price even more from the collected fees. What do you think about Kirby's position here?
The last statement, I have no idea where he's getting that from. I'm not sure how the PulseX buy and burn actually sells down the price of Hex, because it's just buying and burn PulseX. I'm not quite sure about that one. But as far as, I think he's accurate as far as the Hex, it did take a lick because of that. It's true. There's no doubt about it. We saw that with the sacrifice. How much Hex was for the sacrifice, though it wasn't sold, to be fair, it just was taken off the market. But
it could be locked up,
value.
Mm-hmm.
could be, in stakes or whatever like that. That's what's liquid Hex people had. They put for that, and they converted that value of Hex into Pulse as far as sacrifice. But people who, after Pulse launched, sold their Hex to come to Pulse, playing the trading game, right? And that's true. We saw it. It's all on chain. It's not a secret. And Richard knew that was going to happen. But he also knew Ethereum fees were going up too. So it's like, well, if you come over here, even though you're selling down Hex, you get a free copy over here. Plus, you get these other coins you can invest in. And he knew he was going to pump them. So are you really, though you may have lost out on EHEX, at the end of the day, what's your net position? If you took all your EHEX, liquid EHEX, and put over to Pulse and PulseX and Inc., are you really in a worse position or not? Because, I mean, nobody was buying EHEX that much because it's just, speculation and everything. But it was like nobody's really pumping it over there because Ethereum fees are too high. Why make a stake if it costs you can't afford to in-stake it? What's the point? It becomes an unusable product for a new person coming in. Even if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're just going to spend a lot when you in-stake. And do you really want to spend it or not? I mean, that's something. Or you go to PulseChain and you go have cheaper fees and faster throughput, and boom, you'll make your money over here, which is better, right? I think PulseChain's better.
Yeah. I like to think in the terms of sacrifices when I think about what some of the things that Richard's done or positions have taken to, like, for PulseChain itself. That, to me, I mean, that seems like he knew he was going to sacrifice, Hex price, dilution, all that stuff in order. Again, you get something back. It's not just it's not killing Hex. It is getting something back. You're trading something, but it hurts, right? Sacrifice. So, okay, we're gonna, Hex is going to be, it's still going to be a big deal on the chain, all that stuff. But PulseChain is the network that makes sure everything is not gatekeepable anymore. Now we got a place for Hex to thrive. Now we got a place for Hexicans to do all their business, all that stuff. So sacrifice. You sacrifice, you could say, for example, the Hex price in that way. And then with EHEX, again, taking a back seat. Hey, I need all the money to go into PulseChain. You guys do whatever you want. I'm not supporting Ethereum anymore. Everything needs to come to PulseChain. That couldn't have felt good. But he knew, I believe, he had to do it, had to make the sacrifice. So I try to think of it in terms like that. All these things that happen, where they suck or they're good or whatever. It's not this like win-win situation for everything. Sometimes you got to sacrifice stuff in that context. So
yeah, well, I mean, it was necessary to save us from Ethereum's gas fees and the people. There's no doubt about it. Now, a year from now, maybe Ethereum gets sharding and gas prices just drop dramatically and stuff. Then, hey, now Hex has a place and maybe go back over there. Who knows?
That's a good question, actually, on that. Do you think in, let's say, 3 or 4 years, gas fees not a thing anymore? Ethereum, totally fine. Do you think Ethereum, Richard's going to be like, hey, looks like gas is affordable on Ethereum again? I know at that point where we don't assume he's going to be deploying capital and stuff. Who knows? Maybe the ecosystem's just amazing and everyone's rich and it's fine, and he literally just steps away or whatever. But do you think you could ever see him saying that, or do you think it'll always be like, I still don't care about Ethereum. Come to PulseChain. Ethereum, we solved that a long time ago.
I don't know. It's hard to know. He posted a tweet about it. He likes Ethereum and appreciates it. So who knows if they fix some stuff and do the right thing? And maybe he says, hey, look, guys, Hex is over here. If you want Hex, and it's affordable now to in-stake, here you go. I mean, we don't know.
4 years from now, he's like, see, I told you I didn't want to see Hex expensive or cheap on either chain.
Right. Yeah, you could.
4 years. Yeah.
What if he decides to deploy capital and buy EHEX up and push the price up? Now all the people who have stakes coming out in a couple of years on Ethereum, they'll be happy. That's some value, right? And who knows? And then maybe the bond liquidity, you have the Hex pairs on PulseChain get thicker, right? Get more expensive.
That'd be interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I think in a few years, I think PulseChain. Well, assuming again, PulseChain successful, everything. I'm just picturing all that. Let's say all that's good, true. All that's good. I can't imagine. PulseChain is so successful that Richard. I don't know. I think he's disconnecting from Ethereum. I think he wants to. I don't think he wants to look back. I think he wants PulseChain to be the chain that he operates on once he gets everything in a good place and does the founder stuff and all that. I don't think he cares. I think, of course he appreciates Ethereum, but he has Ethereum on PulseChain. It is Ethereum. It's just better and cheaper, faster, and all that stuff. and it's got his people on it. So I don't think he can care about it. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, how rich is this guy going to be in 4 years?
Right. Well, he did make a statement.
100 billionaire.
Yeah. When he was in London for the anniversary, he made a statement to hexologists. They were talking. Hexo, well, what if the price says, what if it pushes the gas up so much and PulseChain becomes hard and expensive to operate? He's like, we'll just fork it again. No big deal. I thought, well, that's really all you have to do. Just fork your chain again. Why not? You don't need an L2. Just make a photocopy. Control C and Control V. Boom, done. New chain. Here you go. PulseChain 2.0, and then it's cheaper. Yeah, right. Cheaper than the original PulseChain. It becomes too expensive. I mean, that's what all these people are doing. They're having all these forks, trying to have something a little bit cheaper than Ethereum. So, I mean, and who knows? Technology is changing so fast that even the EVM chains may not even be the thing of the future. We may change architecture and all that stuff. Who knows what the future holds? People are developing stuff as we speak that we don't even know about. That's really hard to know and predict some of these things, because 2 years in crypto is a lifetime, right? I mean, as far as technology goes, I mean, stuff I'm just people talking, ask me questions. I'm different groups and stuff people come out with it's completely different. And so we're going to see a paradigm shift in how we use a lot of the stuff in DeFi. It's fixing to change a lot. So I think people are going to have to just, adapt to the new technology and appreciate it. And then we'll grow from there.
Yeah. I mean, I think in a few years, again, I don't assume all this like, oh, gas fees are always going to be expensive, or I don't know, just working in tech for so long, it's like, oh, none of that stuff makes sense to me. Obviously it's going to get better. Obviously it's going to be cheaper. Obviously there's going to be new stuff we never heard of before that's going to come out. Who saw ChatGPT coming? Like, right. Nobody saw that. They're like, whoa, my God, this thing's here now. So, I mean, I could see, even in the future, L2s being, Richard being like, all right, new project, L2 for PulseChain that solves everything, got the devs on it, whatever. Like, I could see that. Or I could see, nope, we're going to take these Ethereum upgrades from ETH 2.0, and at that point nobody remembers ETH 2.0. It'll be just ETH, and maybe there'll be 3.0, who knows, and we don't need L2s. It's hard to say. Beyond all, community is too stretched because of drastic change from 1 to 5 coins. No DEX token. I'm not sure what no DEX token means, because that's what
PulseX is.
Yeah, the PulseX and Inc would be the DEX tokens, I guess.
Yeah,
but what do you think? Too stretched?
Nah. Well, I mean, so because you're stressed, what's your overall portfolio balance? That's what you got to ask yourself. You may have more tokens, but what's their net value? That's what you need to look at, right? I mean, if you have all into Hex, you're 100% Hex right now in Ethereum, you're down a lot. But if you have PulseChain, PulseX, and Inc and stuff, it's up compared to Hex. So, like, it's just the math. I mean, you can't deny what the charts are.
Sir, this doesn't look up to me. I don't see any up. Oh, there's the up. There's the up. The 1000%. That's the up button. That was the up button. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
The 90-day up button. Yeah.
And so it's just about valuation. People, this is where I kind of get a little frustrated with people who consume those Hex maxis, and that's all they talk about. When there's nothing wrong with that's good. I like Hex too. I mean, I'm a Hex holder for a long time, but it's not it's a tool that has a purpose. I mean, it is not the only tool out there, right? And that's what I think people understand, is that if you just try to stay with one thing, more than likely you're going to miss out on opportunities that are around you. So you need to have a diversified portfolio on multiple things with different time horizons and what your expectations are, and deploy that plan to your satisfaction. And that's all you can do. And you have to deal with the markets as they are. But there's no such thing as overnight. I mean, you can get rich overnight in a few meme coins here and there. There are opportunities, but you have to. That's usually have to have inside information, stuff like that. Those are really hard to do. But slow and steady wins the race. I mean, if you had been in the ink farms from day one, and all you did was just stick your tokens and do nothing. Let's say the Pulse, for instance, the PulseX farm. It's probably the lowest paying percentage farm, but you would really suffer no impermanent loss per se. You just have one or the other, right? And it's at 19% today or whatever.
Yeah. And
so for the last year, so it's 1,200. What is that? I can't, $10,000 you'd have made $2,000 over the last year, or divide that by half. We didn't say 6 months. You made $1,000 in 6 months. You made 10% of your entire bag in 6 months. It's not bad. You know,
15 grand. Yeah, I mean, I think Hex is I may think Hex is the greatest product, but there's definitely plenty of interesting coins in the ecosystem, and a lot of them complementary. Again, the biggest thing I look for in coins is, do they have a positive feedback loop in some way with the blue chips, Hex, PulseChain, PulseX, for example. And yeah, there's plenty of good projects. It just feels like a win-win in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people understand Hex does only one thing. It makes more Hex through staking. That's it. And T-shares. That's all it does. So it's trustless yield, and it does what it does, but it doesn't do what the farms do, right? It doesn't do what Pulse does. It's not a gas token. You know, it's not a buy. It doesn't have any buy and burn, because like PulseX, and it's not like an incentive token emission like Inc. So it's just different, and it can be, and it's okay to have different things. There's just nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think that I think the most exciting thing about Hex that's made it more exciting the last few years is all the stuff built on top of it, all the Hedron and Maximus products, and just, you know, we got all this, you know, Pull Party with the pulled staking stuff, and I mean, there's a ton of different people building on Hex, and you got Communis and different airdrops and different you know, HSIs give you different features and stuff too. So I think if we didn't have all those products building on it, Hex would still be like an amazing product. Hey, it does what it says it's going to do. Lock it up over time. Hey, you know, I may still use it as a retirement bag type of thing and all that stuff too. But all the products built up on it. When I think of Hex, I think of all the stuff built up on it that I like to use, and that's what doesn't make it boring. Like, that's what's cool about it.
No, yeah. You have a very diversified portfolio with all the, you know, different things. It's true, but at the end of the day, the only thing that makes Hex go up is people buying the token. It's that simple. It will not go up in value unless somebody buys it. So we almost understand that these type of tokens, you must be a buyer, and why, and there must be a incentive for someone to buy it. And why is that? Trustless yield, right? And then all the things on top of that. So that's the narrative people have to understand. You get to market Hex and leak it out to new people. You can say, look, it's not just one thing. There's a whole variety of things you could do with it. You could be liquid while staked with all the perpetuals and stuff. You know, you can have things like Hedron and you know, and Icosa that you can earn yield on top of yield. These are all ways to, you know, extract more value from your main asset. That's why it's a valuable asset, and that's how needs to be marketed in a way that's intelligent and show people the true power and I guess diversification that Hex has within the community.
So if I had $1,000 and I wanted to get PulseX at catch it at a 10% discount, am I doing this correctly?
That's it.
Boom. Limit orders. Don't need PulseX limit orders. Limit orders, you already got them right here.
Yep.
I would like to see PulseX limit orders, if nothing else, for people to be excited about PulseX new features, I guess. But
I mean, this is routing to PulseX, so this is routing to PulseX. It's doing the same thing. So PulseX is open to buy and burn and everything else. So, you know,
explain it to people too. A lot of people are like, oh, if I use some other thing other than PulseX, I'm not contributing to the PulseX buy and burn. Yeah, debunk that.
No, yeah, especially with this, you know, since as Omnibus becomes a DEX aggregator, it's coming. It's just going to take. We're working on it as we're speaking. Stu's working on the integrations with all the other DEXs and stuff. It's just we're going through some UI stuff and some final tweaks. But no, PulseX has the biggest liquidity pair of most all the liquidity. Most everything will route through it when you trade using Omnibus. Right now, it's only PulseX and Fox. That's only two exchanges being traded at the moment because the others are about to be deployed. So unless there's a better deal you can get on Fox, which may or may not happen, depends on the type of, you know, trade you're doing, more than likely or not, you're going through PulseX. It's almost inevitable unless it's some, you know, things that are kind of odd or paired with, you know, meme coins and stuff that are not, you know, populated as much on PulseX. So yeah, I mean, to buy and burn, we contribute to buy and burn every day with all our volume. So you're welcome, PulseX holders. I mean, from Omnibus team and Tetra, you're welcome. We're helping you out. You know.
Red Squirrel says, hang on now. So I should be 100% Tetra?
Well, you can be, you know, 99.9% Tetra, but
it was like, hold on, let me check my portfolio real quick. Let me get back to you.
No, but Red and I have long talks about this. There's ways to look at what Tetra is, and we don't even tell people to buy it. We don't even tell people to buy Tetra.
Obviously, look at this. You're not telling anyone to buy it.
Just sell it.
You've been telling them to sell it?
It doesn't matter to us. That's the whole point. It has no use case for anything but staking. So it's just like you don't need it for anything else. And if you don't want it, just sell it. I mean, it's only up a 7x from SAC. That's it. Oh, we're sorry.
We're sorry. Well, and you can't see that on this chart because you did the new token deal over here in July.
It was 4 zeros and a 1 was the original, 3 zeros and a 1 was the original, SAC price.
3 zeros and a 1. That's lower than it is today.
No, it's not.
No, I mean, sorry, that's high. My bad. That's higher than it is today. I meant to say that. Damn it, I messed up the pun. I messed up. I was going to say like that's, people are up. That was the point.
Yeah, people only up 7x. Oh, poor people who sacked. I'm sorry.
We're up 12x. What's going on here? You did the TA. Who's selling? Why are people selling Tetra?
Who knows, man? People. Well, because it's up and they want money. Right. That's what we realized real quick. It was confusing us, but we kept wondering why people selling the Tetra because we hadn't done anything with it. We're still developing. We have limited orders coming out. All of a sudden, people using it as a cash cow because the price kept jumping up. And when Richard pumped, we shot up in USD terms, obviously a pretty good bit. And people just use that value for other things. They bought more PulseX and Pulse and stuff like that. So, it's a choice. I mean, but it's one of the few sacrifices that were up significantly. On chain.
Is this a accurate market cap?
I guess. I mean, it is what it is. There's not much. People got to realize, all those fancy metrics, but in some sense, but in reality, what really matters is how many tokens are in that pool. There's only 230 million tokens in that pool right now, and there's a finite supply. So those 230 million tokens represents 2 whale bags roughly. That's it. That's all that's available to sell right now. So if you want to buy Tetra, there ain't nothing left. As far as token count, there's only 12 billion tokens roughly in existence. And we know about half of them will never be sold. So, and those who are held in wallets by people who might sell in the future, good luck getting them, especially once you stake them. That's kind of how we don't care. I mean, you do what you want. It's your tokens. We never show it.
Speaking of staking, when can do something with Tetra P?
It's close. It's real close. Stu's working on it now. I mean, I can't give you any time frames. We never will ever again. That bit us in the rear last time. But there's some things in the works about to be deployed. The update's almost ready. We're working on. Stu updated the private test net for us day before yesterday, and we're going through the final changes and some UI things, little odds and ends. Just little tweaks we're making on the UI. So it's about ready to be deployed. So it's real close. So there's some things that happen in the market that we wanted to be there and be ready for, and some technical stuff that's happened on PulseX that nobody knew about. There was some change PulseX did. PulseX did too in some of its feeds that we had to retweak to make it work. So it's code, man. Code's hard, takes time, and we want this thing to be pretty darn close to be perfect when we deploy it.
Software's hard. 2 more weeks. That's what I heard. Very excited. Very excited about this product. I certainly. Yeah. If you guys pull it off, like I said a million times, you can pull it off. Boy, is that good for PulseChain. I do believe, and all the products in the ecosystem too. Very, very cool.
Oh yeah.
Let me search for. I got a thread in case anyone wants to Tetra. 1 sec before we move on. Wrap up here. I have to share the one thread where I lay out a lot of the ideals and things I like. Shoot, taking too long. Let's do this. Seriously? Oh, there we go. Cheated. I saw it in a quoted one. Yeah, everyone check that out if you were interested in. Got a lot of content and stuff on Tetra, and very, very cool product. I think very excited. Neil.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, one of the few things people realize when they take stake Tetra, they will receive both Pulse and stable coins when the automation start. So you'll get 2 forms of yield from staking your token. So we're doing good. I think Stu's put published updates on in the Tetra Telegram about how much volume we've earned up until this point and stuff like that. So people are using the tools. I mean, they like limit orders. We can see it. There's big numbers come through here and there, large amounts that were shocking to us. Just like since we're not out 100% yet, like it's pretty good. People understand the tools and how powerful they are. And once we release the compound limit orders on this next update for everybody, they're really going to enjoy that. It's really easy to make your money ratio trading.
Neil, how do you think people are going to be making millions of dollars in crypto this year with PulseChain? Just wrap it, tie the bow for us on this. How do you think people are going to be making money?
If you're wise, I would say you would be utilizing tools that pay you in true yield. That is from fee-based services. That will be the best, safest money you'll get. With tools like Omnibus and stuff, these ratio trades, you can increase your positions. It has RH pumps money and buys. The more Pulse and PulseX ink you have and Hex, you'll be rewarded in the price appreciation. So, but I would seek to use tools to never sell your main asset, and try to use things like incentive token and stuff to extract value from. So you want to sell your main asset. There's lending protocols that you can borrow against if you feel comfortable using them. And then there's, other yield-bearing tokens that are out there you can purchase to earn yield passively. So those are the tools you need to think about. If you try to trade and try to time the market and try to beat Richard at his own game, good luck, because you can look at those green candles, and a lot of people got left behind when those green candles hit. They just could not catch the trades fast enough. I mean, when he drops 100, 200 grand a lick, there's just no way to predict that and when it's going to happen. So, I mean, we just had people missing limit orders because it went way too fast for them and they had to reset. It's just, that's it. So my advice is to DCA in as we speak, as much as you can. Use your yield, auto compound. Use tools out there to auto compound for you. Increase your positions. If you don't, you'll be left behind when the price does go up.
I'm sure we remember what the price goes up feels like, except it happened today and yesterday and a few days ago, and it happened. So you should know what this feels like by now. This is not the bear market anymore. It doesn't seem to be.
Nope.
Yeah, for T-shares, where can people find you? Hear more about your information and your strategies, and you make YouTube videos, I've heard, and where can people find more?
I'm on Telegram at the Tetra, t.me/go Tetra, and then you can find me there. You can go to my YouTube channel, Neil for T-shares, search there. I have a bunch of videos. I go over all the Tetra stuff, how to ratio trade, all the technicals, different strategies and things. So some of them are outdated, but concepts are still the same. And then, you can reach out to me. You can DM me. I don't care. I mean, I answer DMs all the time for people doing technical stuff. So I'm around. Just hit us up in the Tetra chat. We have our team of guys there helping anybody out. We have a Tetra strategy community. We discuss more technical stuff. So yeah.
I've heard from the chat. Chat says A+ stream. Thank you, Fox Modder. Appreciate that.
Thanks, man.
Everyone out there, there's not, if you want to be sad, you can be sad. If you want to be happy, you can be happy. I choose to be happy. I choose to look forward and be rationally optimistic. And there's a lot of cool stuff in this ecosystem. If you're new here, a lot of cool stuff. This time is different for this ecosystem. It is pretty amazing, and I cover the show.
I wish y'all knew what I knew, but we're coming down. It's going to blow everybody's minds. We're looking at a complete shift in understanding, crypto here probably the next 2 or 3 months. It's just going to change the landscape for the better. And we're going to look at the past and say, well, wow, man, that was the old days. That was the ancient dark ages of the DeFi. Now we have real DeFi, the true DeFi that really allows us to earn, good yield automatically.
50 weeks is coming in April. Bitcoin halving is coming in April. SEC updates coming in April. Anything else coming in April? I think there's a few things coming in April. We may hit a million active wallets on PulseChain in April. I was looking at projections.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I think your 2 or 3 months is man. Let it be a good summer. I want to. I mean, it's always a good summer because sunshine, but let it be a good summer for the pocketbooks as well. That'd be nice.
Oh yeah.
All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today. I'll be on DGen Roundtable in about an hour and a half. So if you want to check that out, check on Twitter if they post a link as well. And that's all I got for you today. Scivive and 5555.